Hi, so in this second one now we have our data and so on. So now what we need to do is we need to add formulas. We're going to update our calendar days, working days, if it's inside the KPI, and then if we have any comments. So if we need to allocate things to it. Okay, so the comment was basically going to be like drop downs, which we're going to use from the lists up here. But let's come back to this for a second. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to group January, February, March together so I can do all three sheets at the same time. So I come here down to this one, go to here, shift and that one. And then I go up here to my calendar days, and that's going to be equal to actual date minus schedule date. And then I just double click on that. My working days are going to use the network days feature. So I'm just going to go up here to data, select formulas, date and time, network days, and my start date is going to be schedule date, end date is going to be actual date. And then for my holidays, which are public holidays, I'm going to go to lists and just I have this prepared earlier, and then F4 and then OK. And then I just double click on the corner to copy it down. Now I need to know if it's inside the KPI. Okay. So I'm going to use an if function for this one, which essentially is going to say, is the number of, and in this case it's going to be calendar days, right? Is the number of calendar days greater than or equal to my KPI? If the answer is yes, it's going to be, if the answer is yes, if it's inside the number of days, it's going to be within the KPI. And if it's not, it's going to be outside the KPI. Okay, so that's what we're going to just look at here. So what I do here then is I go up here to my formulas, logical and if, and I'm going to say if now I could also do the same thing for working days as well, just so to bear that in mind, but I just have to do calendar days. I'm going to say if calendar days are greater than or equal to my KPI, F4, okay, I'm going to say not within KPI. Otherwise, it's going to be within the KPI. Within KPI. And if you notice here, one thing to notice here is that I've already kind of got my format set up here, and you can see that within KPI is exactly the same as that. Okay, and of course, if I spelt it better, I should say not within. I'll just put the capital N in as well. And then I just double click on the corner to copy it down. Now, one thing I do want to be able to do is, would say essentially, is also to kind of update this as well. Okay. Now, the comment thing is going to be a thing that's individual for each person. So the reason for somebody not coming along could be capacity issue, family reasons, COVID, or unknown. And what I do here is I click here, Control Shift arrow down, and I'm going to go to data. Now you can see here, this is not going to allow me to do the data validation. Okay, and this is because I already have these grouped. So I'm now going to ungroup these. So we have a look and ungroup. We go to January, you see there, got the calculations done. February, calculations done. See the calendar days, working days within the KPI done. March, same thing done here. Okay, so you can see there straight away it's starting to take shape. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to add a data validation where I can kind of add my list. So there's my list there, the different comments. And you can see there, even though it was grouped, it didn't allow me to do it. So Control Shift arrow down. I go to data validation, data validation. I'm going to say to list, call it F3. Okay, now let me just go back now into my lists. I'm going to make a table of this. So I insert this, insert, and then table. My table has headers, yes it does. And I'm just going to rename this to comment. And when you're naming your range name here, no spaces in the name. And then I go back to January, got it selected, I go to data, data validation, choose list, and now I press F3, comment OK, and then it's good to go. Now what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to do the same thing then for the other two. All right, now you can see at this point my data is pretty much good to go. Okay, so